Hello, everyone. Hello, students. Hello, readers. Today, I will differentiate between a main idea versus supporting details. The main idea is the central idea or overall message of a text. On the other hand, supporting details are the specific pieces of information that support the main idea. So once you're a pro and are able to differentiate between these two when you read, and that is when your reading comprehension improves. Okay, so as I said in a previous video, when you read, don't just read to read focused. Make sure you read the text a couple times if you have to, and make sure you annotate as you read to fully understand what the main idea is versus the supporting details. Let's continue. Okay, so identifying the main idea of a passage helps you understand and remember what you read. And once you internalize what the main idea is, then you're able to paraphrase or summarize the entire passage. Okay? But the main idea sometimes isn't as obvious, or sometimes it's implied, okay? But once you get a gist of what you are reading, then if you can't identify the main idea in the text, then you are able to create one because it is an implied main idea. So let's take a look at this example. Rich people find a variety of ways to exhibit their wealth. They may show off spacious mansions, expensive clothing and jewelry, and fancy vehicles. Chinese aristocrats had a unique way of showing their wealth. As a status symbol, they grew their fingernails, sometimes to as long as 2 inches. Long fingernails exhibited the fact that they never had to demean themselves by doing physical labor. Okay, so what is the main idea of this? You might think it could be rich people often show off huge mansions to display their wealth. Okay, so even though that is true, people do show off spacious mansions to display their wealth. Is that the main idea? Is that a general statement that covers everything that's talked about in the paragraph? No. It is too narrow. It's a true detail, but it is not the main idea. Let's take a look at this next statement. Rich people like to exhibit their wealth. Even though that is true, is that the main idea? Well, it is too general. Even though it is true, it's not really the best statement to encompass what the entire paragraph talks about. A better statement for the main idea is throughout history, rich people have had various ways of exhibiting their wealth. Okay, so we look at the statements that are offered, and the best one is throughout history, rich people have had various ways of exhibiting their wealth. All right, let's take a look at this one. The first dinosaur bones were uncovered in the early 1800s. Scientists figured that the Earth had been populated by reptiles as large as 20 to 30 feet long. The experts were amazed. The word dinosaur, meaning fearfully great lizard, was coined for these creatures. But it turns out these scientists didn't know half of it. In the 20th century, scientists found many more dinosaur skeletons. They learned to judge what the animals looked like and how much they weighed. They realized that the largest dinosaur of all, Brachiosaurus, measured up to 87 feet in length and up to 80 tons in weight. Okay, so if you have to read this paragraph again, do so. If you have to take notes and annotate the paragraph, do so. Do whatever you have to do in order to differentiate the main idea versus the supporting details. Okay, so what does this paragraph talk about in easy terms to understand? Okay, so it talks about dinosaur bones in the early 1800s were discovered. Scientists realized that they are 20 to 30 feet long. The word dinosaur was coined, fearfully great lizard. But it wasn't until the 20th century that scientists found even more dinosaur skeletons. And to their surprise, the largest dinosaur was the Brachiosaurus. It measured up to 87 feet in length and 80 tons in weight. Okay, so we learn about dinosaurs. Dinosaur term is coined. 20th century, there are even bigger dinosaurs than thought. The Brachiosaurus happens to be the biggest one. Okay, what are the main ideas? Well, the main idea of this text. Let's look at these answer choices. Brachiosaurus weighed an incredible 80 tons. Yes, A is true, but is it the main idea? Is that a statement that is supported by the entire paragraph? No. Even though A is true, it is not the main idea, because we don't just talk about Brachiosaurus in the entire paragraph. Let's look at B. Not until the 20th century did scientists figure out just how large dinosaurs really were. Okay, that could possibly be the answer. Let's take a look at the other answer choices. The word dinosaur means fearfully great lizard. Yes, that is true. That is a statement. But is it the main idea? Do we fully and only talk about how the term dinosaur came to be? No. So C is not the main idea. Let's look at D. Dinosaurs were enormous animals. Yes, dinosaurs were enormous animals. But is that a statement, a general statement that is encompassed and supported by the entire paragraph? That is true, but is it enough? Is it better than D? No, D is not the answer. The right answer is B. Not until the 20th century did scientists figure out just how large dinosaurs really were. So, this is the best answer. Because, let's recap. We talk about dinosaur bones being uncovered in the 1800s. They were big, and the term dinosaur was coined, meaning fearfully great lizards. But the scientists didn't know enough about this, because in the 20th century, scientists found many more dinosaur skeletons, and they realized that the biggest dinosaur was 87 feet in length and up to 80 tons in weight. So B fits the answer best, fits the main idea best. Not until the 20th century did scientists figure out just how large dinosaurs really were.